When people go to create a course, one thing I've noticed is that they want to include everything. And that is actually not always a good idea. So, how do you determine what goes in a course and what should not go in a course? That's what we're going to talk about today. How do we eliminate scope creep as we're creating our course? Now, there's basically two considerations you want to make in order to determine what goes in your course and what doesn't. The first is, what is it that you're trying to achieve? So think about, how would you know you're successful? And that is going to help you develop your objectives or outcomes. And then the second is to consider who the audience is, because the audience will clarify what to put in and what not to put in also. So when it comes to your objectives, when it comes to determining what that outcome looks like, you want to be able to define exactly what that outcome is. That will help you determine like what goes in and what doesn't, like what is necessary and what is just kind of nice to know. So one way to do this is called the ABCD method. ABCD. A stands for audience, which we can eliminate because we're going to talk about that. But the next one is the B, and that is behavior. What is it that you want people to do as a result of your course? Now, we can expand on what is it that people do by thinking about what is it that we want them to do, to think, and to feel, because the way that they think and what they feel contributes to what they do. We obviously, most courses want to see some sort of behavior change, but contributing to that behavior is the thinking or the feeling. So what is the behavior that we want as a result of this course? The other is, under what conditions do we want this behavior to exhibit itself? So for instance, if you are talking about like maybe somebody who is able to eat a specific way, like you want them to make good and healthy choices, you might consider the conditions under which they make those particular healthy choices. So it could be creating healthy meals when you've got 3 little kids and you don't have so much, creating healthy meals when you're not really good at cooking, or eating healthy meals while you're dining out. So your particular course might cover all 3 of them, but considering those conditions can help you determine what goes in the course and what doesn't. And of course, if your course only has one of those, then you don't need the other 2. They're not important to your particular course. And again, that helps prevent scope creep. We've got behavior, we've got condition, and then degree. And degree is basically the level of expertise in this particular thing. So if say your course is about baking cakes, basic minimal cakes, or it might be super expertise. Maybe you're doing sugar work and all sorts of fondant and creating works of art. So that would be kind of like the degree. How successful is successful on a scale of 1 to 10, with 0 being no expertise at all for the particular behavior and 10 being amazing. How far along do you want them to achieve success in your particular course? And that can change depending on the length of your course. In some cases, you might have 3 might be successful, but you might have this expectation that they'll continue on in that particular behavior and gain expertise as they go. Or it could be that 3 is good enough. So that is the ABCD method for determining your outcomes. And basically, when you have an outcome that's that clear, you'll know success when you see it. And actually, you can build success measures like that into your marketing materials, into setting expectations with your students, so that when they go through your course, they know what success looks like for themselves. And they can be super excited about signing up for your course. And then when they achieve that particular very clear outcome, they can be excited too, because that's what they were expecting. The first part was having clear outcomes. That's going to prevent scope creep. The other thing that's really going to prevent scope creep, and often has you putting stuff into your course that's super important, and that is determining who is your audience, and specifically having empathy for your audience to the point where you can know what are their motivations for wanting your course, And what are the barriers to achieving the outcomes that you have for your course? An easy one on this is like the healthy eating. Like everybody would love to be a healthy eater, right? But in order to be a healthy eater, we have to think about what are the obstacles that prevent us from healthy eating. A lot of us know what types of food are healthy for us. Maybe some don't because you might have some food sensitivities or something else going on. But we often know things that we ought to do or feel we ought to do, and yet we don't always do what we feel we ought to do. So why? Why do we have these barriers? If your course ignores these completely, you can expect that your course is actually not going to do very well, and that would be a very sad thing. But if you can really think about what are the things that are preventing people from achieving success, and you can include in your course those particular barriers or addressing those barriers and using those motivators to help address those behaviors, you can be far more successful, and all that without scope creep. So imagine this. You have a course that is very clear on its outcome, and that means you're eliminating a lot of content because you're so focused on a particular outcome. And then you're also thinking about who your audience is, and you know what's preventing them from being successful, or you're knowing, maybe 3 or 4 top reasons what's preventing them from being successful. And so you're putting that stuff in. Now you can create a course that doesn't have scope creep because you're so incredibly focused on the outcome and what they need in order to achieve that outcome. I really like to think that everything that's in my course is really contributing to that outcome. Everything is focused on that particular thing. There's no room for excess weight, right? You want to make everything work for its place in your course. If you're going to have 5 minutes in your course where you're asking for your students' attention, then make every single minute, every 5 minute, every segment, every activity work towards that end. So I hope this actually helps you think about what to put in your course and what to take out of your course. And I hope it gives you a lot of freedom in order to remove a lot of stuff that maybe you think is important, but doesn't actually contribute to the success that you're looking for.